Hey, everybody. Merry Christmas. This is Santa Bo coming to you from the North Pole of North Carolina. Well, almost. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. Bo Prosser here. Smith and Helwys Formation Series lesson outline for Sunday, December the 24th. Wonderful, joyous news. Luke 2, verses 1 through 20. This is the traditional biblical reading of the Christmas story, one that will be familiar to all of you. Joseph and Mary, the shepherds, the angels, the glory of God. Just like the shepherds, the Advent let us receive the saving and renewing gift of Christ's presence. God reaches out to all of us, including the disenfranchised and the unimportant. The presence of God can be jolting. We may not automatically embrace the closeness of God because of the fear. They were sore afraid. Ever been sore afraid before? But at the end of the story, the shepherds were rejoicing and saying to one another, we got to go and tell others about what's happened here. In the moments when life humbles us, we have more in common with Jesus than we did previously. The Christmas season always seems to bring roller coaster ride for me. Uh, Many of you know some of my story about Christmas. It was at Christmas time when I first realized that my grandmother was aging and would not be with us very much longer. It was at Christmas time when my parents announced to us that they were going to divorce. It was at Christmas time that we buried my father several years later. It was uh, at Christmas time when I had to confront bad behavior of a pastor that I was serving. Christmas has always been a roller coaster. And when I have given that overview of me and Christmas, one woman came up to me and said, "It's a wonder you believe in Christmas at all. Why would you even worry with Christmas?" And I said to her, "I love Christmas. It's the best gift of all in the midst of all of the pain and trauma and struggle. Mary and Joseph had pain and struggle, and they were about to bring the greatest gift to the world. My struggles are nothing compared to that." And so it is this Christmas, another wild week in the Prosser household. I tested positive for COVID on Tuesday. Gail tested positive for COVID on Wednesday. Our baby granddaughter has the chicken pox. My dear Aunt Mary passed away, and I'll be doing her service a little bit later in the week. So Christmas is just a roller coaster. And in the midst of that, we've been sending out Christmas cards and sharing greetings with those that we love and care about and buying some presents and all that goes with that. So, Merry Christmas. Have you been keeping watch this Advent? Have you taken stock of your own life in the Christmases in your past? I hope they're not filled with some of the pain and trauma and struggle that mine has been filled with. The lowly shepherds were watching, protecting, seeing, and on this night, they surely got more than they were expecting. Imagine a starry night filled with angels, a heavenly choir, a baby out back at the Holiday Inn Express, and worship all around filled with wonder and awe. The shepherds were watching. They saw. The angels were rejoicing. They saw. Mary and Joseph were rejoicing. They experienced the richness of this season. What about you? Have you experienced the glory of God in these weeks? The shepherds are another of the lowly to whom God is always appearing. God is always turning our expectations upside down. Why didn't God appear to the kings and the rich folks? Why didn't God appear to the powerful and the officials? Why the lowly? Why does God always have to be so mysterious? But the shepherds were watching. What about you? God is all around us this Advent and Christmas season. God may be in the mall for that weary cashier. God may be in the church in the preschool choir. God may be under the tree in a special gift. God may be among your flock as you gather together. The shepherds were watching, they saw. What about you and what about me? Hark, the herald angels are singing. Are you listening? Most of you will probably not have Sunday school on this Sunday, so I'm going to skip most of the biblical uh, content, but I am going to call your attention to this Advent journey that has invited us to renewal and salvation that only comes from Jesus the Christ. When is the last time Christmas has touched you with wonder and mystery and awe? And how do you see it? I always feel it in that movie, The White Christmas, when towards the end, all of the men are in the ballroom of that hotel and they stand and salute and begin to sing in honor of their commanding officer. That always gets me right here every time. And when we sing Silent Night and our candles are held high, that always gets me. And if you haven't heard Mannheim Steamroller's version of Silent Night, I encourage you to find it and listen to it. The baby Jesus, in all his wonder and in all his mystery and in all his glory, that always gets me right here. What gets you? What brings tears to your eyes? What makes you stop and wish and hope? Joseph and Mary were watching and pondering. The shepherds were keeping watch and saw something way beyond their comprehension. The angels saw the birth of Jesus and they responded with glory. And finally, the shepherds had to share it with everyone with whom they come in contact. I tell the following story every year when I'm preaching or teaching or sharing. And a couple of you have sent me emails asking if I was going to tell my Christmas story. So, as a gift to them and as a gift to all of us, I would tell my Christmas story again. It starts in the summertime. Every Friday, I spent the night Thursday evening at my grandmother's house in town. And every Friday in the summer, uh, my grandmother, Nanny, and our family maid, Daisy, and I would work in the yard. Daisy would get there early from town, and she and my grandmother and I would have breakfast and tell stories and laugh. And then Miss Nanny would call a halt to the fun, and we were in the yard working. Sometimes we were planting grass. Sometimes we were pulling weeds. Sometimes we were trimming bushes. Uh, but most of the work fell on Daisy and myself. And Nanny would point and move us and keep us working. And then we would stop for lunch. Then we would go again until 4:30. 4:30 was quitting time because we had to get cleaned up before the edge of night, a soap opera came on. Actually, it was about 4 o'clock, so we had to quit a little early. And every time at the end of my workday, Nanny would give me a quarter for my day's work. 8 hours of hard work for about a quarter, or so it seemed. And I would take my quarter and I would run 2 blocks to town to Butts Drug Company, and I would buy 5 packs of baseball bubble gum, hoping against hope that Mickey Mantle was in my card stack. Never. Mickey Mantle has still continued to be an elusive catch for me. It was the end of summer. It was our probably last Friday before school would start back. I got my quarter and I rushed to Butts Drug Company, ruffled through my packs of baseball bubblegum, no Mickey Mantle. When I came home, I asked Nanny if I could do some more work and maybe get a little more money so maybe I could get Mickey Mantle. And she said, "No, we got to get cleaned up. You know, it's time for my story," she called it. "Go in there and get cleaned up." And so I went in the house and went through her bedroom to the bathroom, and I noticed on the way in a dish that had some dimes in there. And I thought to myself, So I washed and cleaned up, and on my way out, I just snuck one of those dimes out. I went out and put it out by the water spigot on the outside in the backyard, and I bent over to get a drink of water. And when I stood up, lo and behold, there was a dime right there on the spillway of the spigot. I picked that dime up. I was so excited. "Nanny, Nanny, look what I found." She said, "Let me see that." I showed her. It was a dime. She said, "That's a mercury dime, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "You collect those, don't you?" "Yes, ma'am, but I'm pretty sure I already have this one. Would it be okay if I ran to the drugstore?" "Well, if you think you should," she said. Well, I was way past should. I had decided on my way out that's where I was headed with this stolen property. At that point, as I looked into my grandmother's eyes, she knew that I was lying, and I knew that she knew I was lying. But rather than do the right thing, off to Butts Drug Company, I went with another dime for 2 more packs of baseball bubblegum, trying to find Mickey Mantle, and no Mickey Mantle. That year at Christmas was a big box, to Bo from Nanny with love. I opened up that box, and it was a pair of Billy the Kid husky blue jeans. I wasn't fat as a kid, but I was big boned, and so I got the husky jean from Belt Matthews. There was a note attached to it. "Be sure to check the pockets. Check the back left pocket last." So I began to rustle through the blue jeans, and you know what happened. I started pulling out mercury dimes. I checked every pocket, and there was a dime in every pocket. And I got to the back left pocket, and there was a note. "Dear Bo, I had 10 dimes saved up for you this year for Christmas, but it seems I lost one this summer out by the spigot." And then there were these words: "I love you. Merry Christmas, nanny. A special note of forgiveness from a loving grandmother to a misguided young boy. And today, this special day, God gives to us the same kind of grace. Dear world, I love you. Merry Christmas. Yahweh, Jehovah, God of all. Pray together. Thank you, oh God, for a grandmother's love, for loving parents, for a community that has grown me and loved me along the way. Thank you, oh God, especially for Jesus the Christ, the guiding star for all of us as we find our way to you. Merry Christmas, oh God. Through Jesus the Christ, I pray. Amen. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope your Christmas Eve service is joyful and joyous and mysterious. And I hope your Christmas is filled with family and fun and friends and maybe a present or two. And if you find yourself by yourself this Christmas, alone and away from family, know that we love you and that you are special and cared for. Bo and the Beard, Merry Christmas, everyone. I'll see you next week.